Welcome to the Retirement Learning Lab. I'm Van Richards, and I'm really glad that you're here today. We're starting off 2026 with an important conversation, one that I think a lot of you have been putting off. Today, we're talking about what is stopping people from planning for their financial future. Specifically, what's holding you back from starting or improving your own retirement plan. But before we dive in, I need to give you the usual disclaimer. Everything that we talk about today, it is purely educational. This is not investment, legal, or financial advice. I'm here to help you understand your options so that you can make informed decisions about your own retirement planning on your own. Be sure to stay tuned until the end of today's broadcast for more details on the limitations of this information. If you're that person out there who is generally wanting to retire someday, or at least you want to reach the point where you have some financial stability, then this is the episode that is for you. Maybe you're already at that point. You've got some savings, you've been thinking about retirement, but you're just not sure what to do with your money, or you're not sure where to turn for help. Here's what I've noticed over the years. There's really only 2 or 3 things that are holding people back from doing anything about retirement planning. And I want to talk about the biggest one first. What's the biggest obstacle? Trust. And I completely understand this. I read a report recently that said that something like 71% of people hate talking to salespeople. They don't want to be sold to. They don't want to even begin a transaction if they think that somebody is going to try to sell them something. And let me tell you what, I am right there with you. I hate to be sold to. But this is one of the biggest reasons why people don't start retirement accounts. They think that they're going to have to talk to somebody who's going to try to sell them something. And that leads me to the second thing that I've noticed. I see people today doing more research than ever, before ever talking to anybody about buying anything. HubSpot did some fascinating research on this. They found that a whopping 96% of people research a company before ever speaking to a representative. So in other words, most people begin conversations with their guards up. They've already done some homework. They already know some questions to ask. So what I want to do today is I want to give you some of that research information that'll help you. There's really only about 3 different approaches that you can take in retirement planning, and it all involves information and making it just as simple as possible based on where you are in the retirement planning journey. Now, let me explain this to you by describing to you 3 different clients that I've actually worked with recently. Now, I'm not going to divulge to you any names or specifics about it, but as I go through these descriptions, I want you to ask yourself whether any of them sounds like you. Now, I'm not suggesting that my solutions are going to be the answers to your problems and your circumstances. I don't know anything about you. But in listening to me talk about these people, maybe you'll hear something in there that sounds like you. And what you can do is you can look for somebody in your area to provide services like what I'm talking about. I provide services mainly to people that just live in Texas. Let's start with client number 1. This person is a complete beginner. Now, the first client had absolutely no idea about saving money other than putting it into her checking account. She had no idea what to do. And she came to me and she said, Van, I need to do something because I want to retire someday. I don't want to keep doing what I'm doing forever. And I know if I don't do something, I'm probably going to have nothing. So what should I do? Now, for this type of client, I serve as a full fiduciary. Now, what that means is that I am explaining everything to them to the degree that they want to learn it, but I'm helping them to make the decisions about their finances in their best interest. I'm making recommendations from A to Z. Everything is set up and handled for them, from setting up the account to actually funding it with the assets. They either don't want to learn it or they don't have the interest or the time to learn about it. They just want to have it taken care of for them. That's the first person that I work with, and that is on a full fiduciary basis. Now that might not be what you're looking for. So let's go on and talk about client number 2. Now, the second type of person is someone that I've actually worked with for several years. They've saved quite a bit of money and they have some financial sophistication, but they've gotten to a point where they know that they need a little bit more help because they have a good amount of money. They've got well over $1 million in this particular case. And remember, I'm not sharing any specific information, just some general ideas. So you can listen to this and say, hey, that sounds like a service that I could use. I think I need to look for that for me. In this particular circumstance, they need to do something with it other than just putting it into, let's say, a checking account. And this particular person came to me and said, Van, I've known you for a long time, and I want to talk to you about what you really think that I should do, which would be the best thing for me at my age with my money. Now, for this type of client, I'm still acting as a fiduciary, making recommendations that are in their best interest. But this is more of a shared responsibility. I'm providing guidance, but they're actively involved in making decisions about their money. This particular situation won't pertain to everybody that's listening today, but this is really similar to what goes on with advisors who advise company retirement plans. They provide guidance to the business owners about their company retirement plan without any discretion over what's happening with the investments. The employees are actually making the decisions. It's an advisory, not a management situation. That's the type of person who wants to understand what's happening, but they know that there's things out there that they don't know and they need information about it. They want to be involved in the decisions, but they also want professional guidance from somebody who's acting in their best interest. Now, the third client that I worked with really didn't want just investment advice. They were pretty familiar with different investing concepts, but they did need some guidance in that area. But what they really needed help with was their overall financial situation. So what we did was we looked at the money that they had. We looked at what they wanted that money to do for them in the different accounts that they had it in, and when they wanted to retire, because this client was not retired yet. In this particular case, this was a client that has really close to $3 million in retirement assets. They wanted to retire, but they weren't really sure what to do with the money that they had when they retired. So here's what the situation ended up looking like. This client really wanted just advice, but they needed fiduciary advice. They needed somebody that would look at their situation from a best interest perspective and give them an overall comprehensive financial plan. And here's the key. This just wasn't about retirement. Now, this type of plan included what I call the 6 major risks that can affect a person in retirement. Let me talk to you about those just a little bit because you need to be aware of these in your retirement planning. First is we talked about how to cover the risk of going broke, running out of money. You've worked a long time. You don't want to waste that money. There's no do-overs when you get to a certain age. Then second, how to plan for the risk of not working because that's a real risk, whether it's going to be by choice or by necessity. And what I mean is by choice or necessity is, are you going to choose when you want to retire? Are you going to be retired by the company that you're working for? Or are your circumstances going to dictate that you have to retire? Perhaps you become ill or you need to stop and take care of a family member. Then third, what steps to take to cover the risk of getting older? Health care, long-term care, those kind of things. And then fourth, how to create a plan that's sensitive to your own risk tolerances, because not everybody can handle the same level of investment volatility. And then fifth, and this is a really important one from a personal perspective, how to make accommodations for the risk of current and future family dilemmas. That's things like supporting aging parents, helping children in particular situations, because a lot of people have those. And then sixth, and this is a really important one, how to be flexible enough to deal with the risk of government changes. Things like tax law, Social Security changes, Medicare, any regulations that might affect you in retirement. This is the type of client that may not really look for strictly someone to handle their investments, because they want to be able to do a lot of that on their own. They're familiar with it, but they know there are many situations that they don't know about, and they need someone who will offer them unbiased advice to help them to develop a plan to cover all of those risks. So you see, we have three different types of approaches to retirement planning here. Option number one is the full fiduciary management. Everything is done for you in your best interest. Your advisor, they handle all of the details. They make the recommendations, they set up the accounts, and they manage the investments. You approve the major decisions, but they handle the day-to-day management as your fiduciary. Then there's option number two, fiduciary guidance with a shared responsibility. Your advisor acts as a fiduciary in making recommendations to you, but you're actively involved in the process. This is similar to how advisors work with company retirement plans, providing guidance without discretionary authority. There's regular communication and education between you and your advisor, but you make the final decisions. Then there's option number three, comprehensive fiduciary planning. You get fiduciary advice that's in your best interest, but it's presented as a comprehensive financial plan. Now, this covers not just investments, but all of the major retirement risks. Things like going broke, not working, getting older, risk tolerance, family dilemmas, and government changes. You implement the plan yourself, but you have professional guidance to know what you don't know. Now, you have to ask yourself this: where are you today, and which one of these situations really fits you best? And here's the thing, I want you to understand, there is no wrong answer. Some people are genuinely needing a full fiduciary management service because they don't have the time or the interest, the expertise to manage this on their own in their retirement accounts or any other accounts they might have. They need someone to handle everything from A to Z, and they need it in their best interest. And that's okay. Some people, like the second example, they want to be more involved. They want fiduciary guidance, but they also want to understand what's happening with their money. They want to make the final decisions for themselves. And there again, that's okay. And then there are those people out there that they have the knowledge and they have the confidence to implement their own plan. They just need a comprehensive fiduciary plan. They need the advice so that they can see their blind spots, the things that they don't know and the things that they know they don't know. But the worst thing that you can do is nothing. And perhaps even more worse than that, if there is such a thing, is that you let that trust issue that we first started talking about, we let that trust issue or the fear of being sold something to keep you from acting at all. So let's go back to that trust issue for just a minute. How do you overcome it? Here's my advice. Do your research. You're already doing that by listening to a podcast or watching a video, and that's good. But also understand that not everyone in the financial services industry is trying to sell you something that you don't need. Yes, there are people like that out there, but there are also professionals who genuinely want to help you to succeed. And here's how you can tell the difference. Start by asking questions. You see, a good advisor will welcome your questions. They'll take the time to explain things in a way that you can understand it. Now, if someone gets defensive or they try to rush you into a decision, that is a red flag. And then understand also how they get compensated. Are they fee only? Do they earn commissions? Or is it a combination of fee and commissions? And there's nothing inherently wrong with any of those models, but you need to understand how your advisor gets paid. And then also look what their credentials are. Look for advisors who have credentials like what I have, like the CHFC, the Chartered Financial Consultant, or the RICP, or the CFP. These are designations that require an ongoing commitment to education and an adherence to a standard of ethics. And it's okay to start small with the advisor. You don't have to hand over your entire life savings on day one. You can start with a consultation. And if you do, expect that you may need to pay for that consultation because it takes their time and you should understand that. See if it's a good fit and then build trust over time. Here's what I want you to remember. The cost of doing nothing is often higher than the cost of making a less than perfect decision. Let me give you a couple of examples. If you're 35 years old and you wait just 5 years to start saving for retirement, you could be giving up hundreds of thousands of dollars in compound growth. That's real money. That's your future financial security. And if you're 55 and you're not sure what to do with your retirement accounts and you put it off and you're waiting another year or two, that could mean missing out on important tax planning strategies or investment opportunities. Remember this, the perfect plan that you never implement is worthless. A good plan that you start today is valuable. So here's what I want you to do after listening to this episode. Step number 1, identify your type. Are you a complete beginner, a hands-on learner, or a do-it-yourselfer? Now be honest with yourself. Then step number 2, define what you need. Based on your type, what kind of help do you actually need? Do you need someone that's going to handle everything for you as a fiduciary? Do you need fiduciary guidance with a shared responsibility? Or do you need comprehensive fiduciary planning, but you want to implement it yourself? And then step number 3, do your research. If you need professional help, research advisors in your area. Look at their credentials. Now, if you want to verify their credentials, the American College of Financial Services has a site that can help you do that. And you can find it at www.youradvisorguide.com. Step number 4, take action. Schedule a consultation. Ask questions. Start the conversation. Don't let fear hold you back. Look, I understand the hesitation. I understand the trust issues. I feel them myself when someone tries to sell me something that I didn't ask for. But retirement planning is too important to let those fears keep you on the sidelines. You've worked hard for your money. You deserve to have a plan that works for you and someone working in your best interest to help you to create it. Whether you need that full fiduciary management, the fiduciary guidance with shared responsibility, or the comprehensive planning advice that you can implement on your own. There's an option that fits your needs and your comfort level. The key is to take the first step. Do your research, ask the questions, find someone that you trust who will work as a fiduciary in your best interest, or learn how to do it yourself with proper guidance. But whatever you do, don't let another year go by without taking action. Now, if you found this helpful, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss any future episodes. And if you have questions about retirement planning Or if you have a topic that you'd like to hear about in the future, drop me a comment or send me a message. I'm Van Richards, and I want to thank you for joining me today on the Retirement Learning Lab. Now, go take that first step toward your future retirement. Important disclosure information. This publication or presentation is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered investment advice. Opinions expressed are as of the date of the publication or presentation. Such views are subject to change. Richards Financial Planning does not guarantee the accuracy or completeness of the data presented herein. Van Richards is a managing member of Richards Financial Planning, LLC. Richards Financial Planning, LLC is registered with the Texas State Board of Securities and governed by that entity and the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Richards Financial Planning, LLC shall not be responsible for trading decisions, damages, or other losses resulting from or related to the information, data analysis, opinions, or their use. The securities quotes, charts, articles, or other statements regarding the market or additional financial information are obtained from our suppliers' sources, and we believe it to be reliable. However, we do not warrant or guarantee the timeliness or accuracy of this information. Our company, our employees, our information providers, guests, or affiliates are not responsible for damages or liable for any errors or inaccuracies related to this publication or presentation. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. All investments are subject to investment risk, including possible loss of principal. Individuals or other operational entities should consider if an investment or strategy is suitable for them by referencing their financial position, investment objectives, and risk profile before making any investment decision. The views and opinions of guests that may appear or be sourced with this publication or presentation are not necessarily those of Richards Financial Planning, LLC, and affiliates. Richards. Financial Planning, LLC, and affiliates are not associated with the guest and their affiliates unless otherwise stated. Throughout our presentations, we may mention related educational products or services, such as online courses or additional resources. These mentions are intended to provide viewers with optional, in-depth learning opportunities related to the topics discussed. The availability of these products does not affect the objectivity of the information presented, and viewers are under no obligation to purchase any mentioned products or services.